In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a Mad Libs game in Scratch. So to start off with, I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like when we're all done. You can see that I've got the default sprite on just a plain background. So I'm going to go ahead and click the green flag to get started. Greets us, it says we're going to make a story together, and then it asks for the name of a friend. I'm going to type in the name, hit enter, ask for the name of an animal, then the name of a place, and then the name of a thing. And then when I hit enter, it starts telling us a story, similar to Mad Libs. And that is it. It's a very simple little program. So the way that these are going to work is we are going to use variables to store information. We will talk about variables in just a second, but first go into your Scratch and we are going to create a blank new project. Now I left the default sprite in the default background, that plain backdrop there. You can use whatever sprite and whatever backdrop you like, so feel free to customize it. And then we're going to change the name of this to Mad Libs. So change the title up at the top. And then we are going to start our code with how we start all pieces of code for Scratch. We're going to go into events and find a hat code. For us, this time we are going to use when green flag is clicked because that's what is going to kick everything off. Now the first thing we needed to do once we hit that green flag is we needed to ask us or to say two different things. So we are going to go into the look section. And we're going to drag over two of these say hello for 2 seconds. Now we're not actually going to leave it to being hello. We are going to change it to the first one we want it to say, welcome to Mad Libs. And then the second one should say, let's create a story together. Now, if you like, you can change these to be a little bit longer, but you don't have to. You can leave them at 2 seconds, but those two things will pop up one right after the other when we click the green flag. So I'm going to go and make sure I have some punctuation in there. There we go. The next thing we're going to do is that we are going to set the sprite to ask us a question. So we are going to start getting our variable stuff ready. So we want to go under sensing because sensing is where we find the ask. So that sets it up so that we know that our code is going to get some user input. So the ask is different from the say because the ask is going to wait and just pause until it gets an answer. So for ask, what we are going to do, the first question is, please give me the name of a friend. Make sure that you put a period in. And then we are going to go into data, and you see that there's actually nothing in data yet. We are going to be making 4 different variables. So the way that these variables work are like buckets. I'm going to switch over to OneNote here so I can draw out an example for you. So for every question, every variable that we have, we make a bucket. So I'm going to draw a little bucket here. The first bucket is the friend's name. This is our variable, so this is variable 1. Whatever answer the user puts into that bucket, your Scratch game is going to hold in that bucket. So it's going to hold that little piece of information inside that bucket so it can go back and retrieve it later. So whatever name we put in, it will save under variable 1. So I put in the name Katie earlier. So it's going to save that name in the variable 1 bucket. And as we add more variables, change my colors up here, one for each bucket. We're also going to have animal, we are going to have place, and we are going to have thing. So all of these are also variables. So this is variable 2. This is variable 3. And thing is variable 4. Every time we put a piece of information in, it's going to save that information. So we've got an animal, we will save the name of the animal so we can go back and get it later. When we put in the name of a place, it'll save that name of the place under variable 3. And when we put in the name of a thing for variable 4, it will save the name of that thing in that bucket. Later on in our code, we'll tell it to go back and grab these little pieces of code out, these little things that we've stored in our bucket, and plug them into our sentence. Now that we're back here on Scratch, we are going to start making those buckets. So the first bucket we need, we're going to click on Make a Variable. First bucket is friend's name. And we are going to make this bucket available for all sprites. The other option here would limit the bucket, would limit any information you put into this bucket or this variable to only this sprite. So for our game, we only have one sprite, so it doesn't really matter which one we choose. But if you were making a more complicated game, you would need to choose one of these very carefully. Usually I put for all sprites, and that's usually worked for me for most games. I'm going to click OK, and then it will set up all of these things here. I'm going to then drag over the set friend's name, and then we're going to go over to sense and answer, because we want to tell our code that the information that the user puts in into that friend's name bucket is the answer that we want it to pull later on. Now we're going to repeat these two pieces of code a few more times for each question. We are going to drag over ask again, and in that box we are going to type in, please give me the name of an animal. And then we're going to go back to data. We're going to do make a variable. We're going to title it animal, because that is our animal bucket. Click OK. And now you see we've got animal and friend's name. Just going to drag over set animal to, and then under sensing, answer. Then we're going to do the next thing for the name of a place. So we're going to do it again. Ask, please give me the name of a place. Then go back to make a variable. This bucket, any information that goes in here is going to be called place. Click OK. Drag over set place to. Then go back to sensing and do answer. And then our final question, ask, please give me the name of a thing. And then go back to data, make a new bucket, a new variable. This one is called thing. Click OK. I'm going to drag over set thing to, and then answer. Now you're going to notice that all of these are drop downs here, and that is so that you can easily switch between the variables if you need to. So if you realize you have the same one in multiple times, you can go in and you can change them here under this drop down. So you can have that be any variable. So now, if we were to run our code to test it out, it should greet us, say we're going to make a story, and then start asking us the questions. Now you're going to see your answers pop up here, and I'll show you how to turn these off in just a second, but I want you to leave them on for now so we can make sure that we're putting information in right. So I'm going to put in the name Katie into the bucket. Now you see that Katie is in the friend's name bucket. It's asking for the name of an animal. Cat goes in, name of a place, and then thing. Now each of these is a bucket with our information stored in the bucket. So now what we need to do is we need to tell our code how to go back in, take these pieces of information and turn them into a sentence. So we are going to start with, under looks, say. So we need to tell it to say a few things here. We're going to start with one day, like once upon a time, ... for 2 seconds. Then we're going to drag, not that one, this one down again, except we are going to go into operators. Now we are using the operators because we need to join bits of information together. So I want you to look for the join down here where it says hello world. And you're going to drag that over into where it says say. Now it's got 2 little blanks, so it can join 2 pieces of information together. So this is where we need to tell it to start pulling the information back out of the buckets. So the first thing we are going to do is to go back under data, and we want it to start with the friend's name. So we're going to join friend's name to blank. So right now if we hit play, it would do join the friend's name, so join Katie to the word world. So it would say Katie world, which is not what we want it to do. We actually need to go back under operators and pull a second join in and drop it right there. So it'll say join Katie, and where it says hello, we're going to do space and space a space. And then where it says world, we are going to go back under data and pull in animal. So now what it should do is it should say one day, Katie and a cat. Then we need to do one more for school and books. So we're going to go back under say, drag that down, go back under here, pull over a couple more of these joins. We're going to type in went to. Then let's drag in, we need some more space, so we need to add in another join. Where it says hello, they went to a place, drop that in. And now we need another one just like this one up here, where we've got the text first and then the variable. So we're going to go back in and drag in one more join. So this one will have 3 joins sort of nested into each other. That first blank, we're going to write 2CA and then drag over thing. So now our sentence should say Katie and a cat went to school to see a book. So if we hit play on our code here, we'll be able to see that go. So I'm going to type in Katie, cat, school, book. I want you to watch what happens here. So Katie and the cat have spaces in there, but this one I did not put any extra spaces in. So because of that, we need to go back and add in some spaces before and after went to. So space, went to space, space, to CA, space at the end. So now it should be all set. And what you can start doing is as you are playing your game, you can start changing the questions, changing the variables, changing what the sentence says. If you want these buckets, these variables to be hidden, you can go under data and uncheck these boxes. They will disappear. If you want them to show, you can turn them back on. So if you want your player to be able to see what they typed in, just go in there and turn them on. I like to leave them off, so it seems a little bit more mysterious. You can even add some repeats into this. You can add a forever loop so it keeps playing over and over again. It's up to you guys what you would want to do. Essentially though, when you are all done, you should be able to have these buckets pull the answers into a little sentence at the end of your Scratch code.